It's a big day. Hi, my name's Jason, and I like to buy fucked up motorcycles, like this one behind me. I got this bike 3.5 years ago for $350. I bought it from a guy who used to have a motorcycle shop and had gotten it in on trade for work on another motorcycle. It was wrecked when he got it. It had a hole in the engine, there were rocks in the engine, and by the time I got it, it had sat outside for years. There was surface rust on all kinds of components on it, and the engine had no compression. I've spent about 8 months total work time on this thing to get it to this point. I've welded up the hole in the engine. I've taken the engine apart, removed the cams, removed the heads, removed the valves. I've cleaned and lapped the valves, put new seals on them. I've put new head gaskets on it. I've cleaned the fuel injectors. I put new O-rings and gaskets on the engine. I spent a bunch of time trying to save the original rusted out gas tank to no avail. Finally bought a good condition gas tank and then rebuilt the fuel pump for it. Now that the engine's all back together, it now has compression. Basically, this was just dirty valves that created a no compression situation on this engine. I've checked that the engine has spark. I've gone through all the electronics on the bike and now it will crank over. So now, my friends, it is time to put the gas tank on this bike, put some gas in it, and see if this thing will start. I've been awake like all night in anticipation of this thing. My stomach is like bothering me and everything. Like, I am excited about the possibility of this thing running. I've been wanting a V4 engine since the day I've learned that V4 engines existed. And this thing has a V4 engine. Like, V4 engines, they don't exist in cars, only in motorcycles, my friend. And that is why motorcycles are magical and awesome. So we got my little fuel line here. Hook this guy up. A couple crush washers on this, on either side. Got to hook up the electronics to my fuel pump. All right, it's not starting, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that we are actually getting fuel out of this line here. Make sure the fuel pump is working. I need a bucket or something for that. Wrench back out here. Oh no, we're getting fuel down there. Oh yeah. Okay, we're getting fuel from the fuel pump. All right, so it won't start. I'm going back through and checking the basics right now because we're missing something. We need air, we need fuel, and we need fire. We need the spark. So I'm checking the spark at the moment. I checked the fuel. There's fuel coming from the pump to the throttle body. It should work. I mean, we've tested all this stuff previously, so this is kind of annoying. Our fuel injectors could not be working or something. Our timing could be off. I mean, these are all reasons that it wouldn't run. If it sparks at the wrong time and it sends fuel in there at the wrong time, like, it won't run if the timing's off. But I mean, we checked and double checked the timing when we put the heads back on here. I mean, man. All right, our spark plug looks dry, looks fine. I'm gonna hook it back up here and see if I can get spark out of it. I'm getting spark. I really don't want to have to take the fuel injectors out again because it's a pain. It was such a pain to get this air box onto those boots, those rubber boots that are intake boots. This is frustrating because I was so cautious all the way through this to take every step to try and clean the fuel injectors and check the spark and check the timing and do all these things as I was going through to hopefully ensure that I would not get to this point where I go to start it and it doesn't start. I was hoping that I tried to do everything I possibly could to make sure that when I hit that button, this thing would start. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take the air filter off the top here with the hope of being able to squirt fuel straight into the throttle body there, into the cylinder. Let's see if we can get this thing to do something that would help tell me whether or not, if fuel is our issue or if it's something else. All right, I'm just going to put a little bit of fuel into each of these. I'm going to try this again. Huh. Doesn't seem to be fuel. Fuck. Fuck me. Huh, that was almost something. Alright, so we're not getting gas for some reason. Alright, well that narrows it down, but it does seem like a lot of work. So I'm gonna mess with that still. Fuck. I was really hoping. It's like maybe the fuel injectors it's narrowed down to the fuel pump, fuel pressure regulator, fuel injectors. All right, I had to take a break and regroup and like reset my mind here that I'm no longer starting the bike, I'm now solving a puzzle. So pretty sure it's a fuel thing, and we're gonna go through this the fuel system and see if we can figure out what happened, what's going wrong here. All right, so sometimes you do things that you don't want to do. And I have taken the throttle body off because I want to hook everything up here as best I can with the throttle body disconnected and see if I can see fuel coming out, if the injectors are working or not. Oh, it looks like fuel coming out of there. Oh yeah, feels like fuel. Interesting. Let's see if the other one does it. Oh, the one does it. The other one's doing it or not. I don't think it is. I think the one is shooting off fuel, but not the other. Huh. Well, that one. That one is. Oh, I'll get fuel out of one, maybe two. Yeah, only half. Getting from half of the. Yeah. All right, so I got two. They're not putting out fuel. All right, I pulled out one of the fuel injectors here. And I'm attaching it to the battery. I'm gonna see if I can do this. Put some carb cleaner in there. Some liquid coming out, but it's not like spraying out. All right, I have cleaned the fuel injectors. I put them back in. I am hoping everything is kosher now. And let's see if we get mist spray out of these fuel injectors now. Oh, we got a leaker. I gotta get a new O-ring. Fuck. Alright, I had to pause this whole show for like a week because I broke something and I had to order a new part. And that something, there it is. What's this? A little Honda O-ring. I ordered 3 of them just in case. I only need 1. But yeah, I was trying to get this fuel rail back on here, and where it connects to the fuel injector on the bottom there, there's a little O-ring, and I had this in at just a slightly wrong angle, whatever, and pinched that O-ring, and bam, no more O-ring. Let's see if we can continue and get this thing run, because we're so close to getting it running, man. We're so close. Send in the clouds. Alright, I should be able to get this fuel rail back off of here again. Alright, this is one fuel injector here I was having issues with. Because yeah, I had tried unsuccessfully. So I had tried unsuccessfully to use an O-ring I had laying around. That was the closest thing I could find to the stock O-ring, but it's a little bit too skinny, and so it did not work. I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy off of here. See if we can use our fancy little new one here that we paid a couple bucks just for this one O-ring. All right, now go ahead and stick this guy on here, and it's only slightly bigger. I put a little bit of silicone grease on this thing. Help slide that thing in there and hopefully prevent catching it and messing it up again. Alright, fuel rail is hooked back up again. My O-rings and everything looked good. From what I can tell, everything looks to be seated correctly. I'm gonna go ahead and attach the actual fuel line from the fuel tank and see if we can pressurize this system up and see if it leaks, and then we'll also be able to test whether or not the injectors are spraying or not. Fuel everywhere. I don't like about this setup, I don't know what it is, but usually other bikes I've had, newer bikes, you know, you've got a fuel pump in the gas tank. Gas will not come out of the gas tank unless that fuel pump is pumping it out. But with this one, it just leaks right out, dude. It leaks right out even though the pump's not on. All right, let's turn this sucker on and see if we get fuel. Oh, I hope so. I hope these injectors are clean and working. All right, there's no guarantees here, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the mist coming from the fuel injectors down here. All right, pressurized. So when I go to start it, we should get mist. Sweet. Every fuel injector has mist coming out of it, so in theory, I think that's what we were missing to start it. So now I gotta go through the whole process of hooking all this stuff back up, and we'll see if we can get it started. Or at least I gotta get the throttle body and some of the basic stuff hooked back up here. All right, I'm actually trying to minimize the amount of work I have to do like redundantly over and over again. So I've just set it down inside the little intake boots there, the rubber boots, and it should be sealed enough, and we should have contact enough that we can get this thing to run the way it is. So I'm gonna stick you over here by the exhaust for this moment, this magical moment. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten stuff down, but that's fantastic. That's a long time coming, that one, dude. We've had this VFR we've been working on it for over a year at this point. There was a hole in that engine and it's now running. Unbelievable. That's like a level for me. I never thought I'd be doing stuff like that a couple years ago. Now I'm repairing holes in engines, and the engine then goes on to run later in life. Fantastic. Like, that's a cool experience to have, and like some cool skills, man, that make that happen. So I'm very proud to do that. Sounds like it just seized right up. All right, let's see if we're fucked here. I'm gonna take off this cover here so that we can get to the crank. Let's see if that will turn over or not. Wow, that would suck if this thing were toast, huh? Fuck, all this work. Damn. Oh yeah. That thing does not want to turn at all. Fuck, something is. Fuck me. Oh, that is locked. Oh. Almost sounds like there's something moving around in there. Well, it feels like there's a rock in there or something. Oh yeah, that feels crunchy like. All right, well, let's take it apart and see what the fuck is going on. All right, draining out all the brand new oil. out of this guy. All right, I'm taking this side cover off. We will see what we find. Can we see anything? Flippity flop. Alright, this is our crank right here. Oh, now it turns. What the fuck? Oh god, this sucks. I don't know what's wrong with it now. I have no idea. Alright, I am at a loss now. Because I don't understand. Alright, so here's the deal. If I take this gear off, the engine turns. No problem. Right? But this gear is on there. And the fact that I'm having such a hard time getting it on there should tell you we're headed towards something here. This is the gear that engages the starter, right? Now that is locked up. The starter is locked. That's my rock grindy thing, is the starter. So yeah, here's our little starter gear right there. Our starter is right behind there. And now, if we, you can see it moves just a tad. And I don't understand, like in theory, I think there might be something wrong. There's a starter clutch. It's supposed to go on and off or whatever, which is, I believe, this guy up here. It's supposed to engage and disengage the starter when the engine's turning. I'm not sure. I need to figure out how that's supposed to work. I know when I put this back together, I was very careful to make sure that the dish side here was on the right side and everything, and make sure all this was exactly how it's supposed to be on the diagrams and everything in the service manual. So I don't know. It's almost like this thing we burnt out the starter by running the engine, which shouldn't happen. The most excellent news of the day here, though, is the engine is okay. It's just the starter. That's our problem. We just need to figure that out, why that happened, fix it, possibly get a new starter. The magnificent V4 is okay. All right, well, I figured we might as well take the starter off. It's my prerogative. All right, dude, see, I'm still happy, even though things are going wrong. The worst things ever. This is still fixable. So I'm okay. I'm happy with that. I assumed the worst, that our engine was toast, and I was wrong. Good reason to be happy. You know, things are actually much better than I thought they were. Looks like there's 2 bolts holding the starter in. This is all the day's work for the here at Hoopty Doodle. All right, somehow we're gonna get this out. Not sure how that's gonna be right now. There we go. Gotta get it moving. Oh yeah, a couple rocks falling out. All right, step number 2. Here's our little starter gear. Let's see if that will spin when I turn on the bike. Yeah. I wonder if, I'm not wondering though if a fuse is blown on this thing. Let me check that. All right, it's not a fuse. I'm guessing at this point that my starter is toast. This thing seems to not be happy. We could take it off here and we could take it off and play with it on the bench. That's what I'm trying to do. Basically, we've got a couple of long bolts here holding this thing together. So let's take those off and see what we see. I've always seen other people using them and been like, wow, that looks convenient. Oh. Well, motherfucker, there's like, look at that. Copper coming, holy shit. That thing just exploded in there. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, we need a new starter, dude. That's unbelievable. I guess we're lucky it lasted us this long, right? Holy shit. Yeah, this side, I think it just busted up in there, man. That was it. It just, whatever this insulation stuff is, broke apart at some point, and then our little, just destroyed our connections and stuff in there. All right, so we definitely need a new starter, and I'll order another starter. So yeah, I probably won't see you for another week or better, just until we get another starter in. All right, so some good news. You can still buy OEM factory Honda starters from Honda, but they're $750. No! eBay, I can get a used one on eBay for like 30 bucks. But then it's the used one and potentially another 20 years old. No! You can also buy aftermarket ones for somewhere around 60 to 100 bucks, depending on where you buy it. But then it's an aftermarket one. Aftermarket electrical stuff is sometimes kind of iffy. They oftentimes skimp on the quality. According to Honda, this starter, they use the same starter from 1998 to 2009 on VFRs. They also used it on like a 98 or something, like RC51, I believe. But other than that, it's a VFR exclusive part. All right, so basically what happened here and why when I now go to start the bike, after the engine stopped, and it just makes that clicking noise, all you get is the starter relay click. It's because basically the bike doesn't think there's a starter connected to the bike anymore, and it thinks that because all the connections inside the starter are gone. They just got obliterated. These are the connections right here. So the bike, as far as it is concerned, there's no starter connected to the bike, and it just makes that clicking sound instead. So if you ever have that on your bike, chances are there's some sort of connectivity issue somewhere between the bike and the starter. If you're lucky, it's just like a shorted out wire somewhere, you know, on this side of the starter, on the outside of the starter. In this case, it's the inside the starter. You can kind of see right in here where there used to be like a fiberboard thing where you'd have electrical connections on there, and that has been torn off. It felt like there was a rock or something in there when I was trying to turn the crank, and it was really, like, I can feel it now. It's just the debris that's inside the starter. So that's what's left of our little starter. So those are my options. That's what I'm going over right now. What would you do?